Am I the asshole for asking my wife to cook for me? My wife and I married 4 years ago and before then dated for 2 years. In the beginning of our relationship, we were both in college and pursuing our respective degrees. After we both finished our degrees, we decided to get married and entered the workforce. I entered a year before her, as I am a year older. After a few years of marriage, my wife and I decided to have a baby, and we had a beautiful baby boy who is almost 1 year old now. After the baby was born, however, my wife's attitude towards her job began to change. She quickly began to loathe it, and after she cried to me that she hated being away from the baby, she decided to quit her job. She consulted me on this decision OFC, and become a housewife. The issue is, while I make a good amount of money at my job, with the added burden of a new baby, a housewife and a mortgage, I had to increase my hours. I work really late hours and I simply do not have the energy to cook myself a whole meal when I come home. I need some time to just relax before I have to put myself into the meat grinder again so we can have a roof over our heads. This came to a head a few days ago, when I came home at 9 p.m. with nothing prepared for anyone, except the baby. She makes herself dinner still, and we used to do our own chores when she worked, but now I have to work longer, while she has more time. With this and tired, frustrated from work, I calmly asked if she could cook for me. She said she wasn't my maid, and to cook for myself. This turned into a huge argument and we haven't talked since. Despite the entire argument, I still think I am right here. I work my ass off day and night, put myself through hell day after day after day, working 70–80 hours a week. All I want is a warm meal when I get home and not having to do my own laundry. Now, in her defense, besides laundry, lawn maintenance, and cooking, she does do all the other chores. She cleans the house and of course she takes care of the baby. Am I the asshole? Edit. Someone DM'd me to add this comment to my original post. I live in San Jose, and I live about 35 minutes away from my work. That means, including the return trip, I spend about 1 hour and 10 minutes on commute every day, to work from home and from work to home. To make the math easy, let's round that to 1 hour. Plus, I need to sleep a minimum of 6.5 hours a night. That isn't to mention that I usually take 30 minutes in the morning to get ready, take a shit, brush my teeth, take a shower and get dressed. Furthermore, to make my point, let's say I only ever worked 70 hours a week. I usually work more, but for argument's sake let's take the minimum. I work 5 days a week, and yes, I help with the baby on weekends. That means 14 hours a day. So 14 plus 1 plus 6.5 plus 0.5. Adding up the numbers, that means I get 2 hours a day to myself. That is the most I can get. In truth, on an average day, I get barely 5 minutes to myself. That is because I toss and turn for the first half an hour of sleep, and so I try to get to bed 30 minutes beforehand, and I usually end up working around 74 hours a week, sometimes more. Not to mention what happens if I encounter bad traffic. This isn't to mention that when I get home, it's dad mode. I have to tuck my son into bed and usually I'll play with him. I have no time. No time. All I want is 15 minutes, to sit down, turn on the game I record each week, eat a warm meal and just enjoy 15 minutes of peace. All I want is that, just 15 minutes of peace. I don't mind cooking on the weekend, and I do cook for her on the weekend. I don't mind doing chores on the weekend. I mow the lawn on the weekends and edit. I also do the grocery shopping on the weekends, though she usually gives me a list. I don't mind taking care of our son on the weekends. But on a weekday, is warm dinner and 15 minutes so much to ask for? She's cooking for herself but refuses to just double the ingredients and stick half in the fridge? Was she this nasty and selfish when she married you, or did it evolve over time? You're definitely not the asshole, but she is. Give her enough money for the baby and to maintain the house. When she's asked for money, tell her you're not her ATM. Have to laugh at some of these comments. Being a stay-at-home parent to one child isn't in any way equivalent to working a 70-hour week, and y'all have to get a grip. Not the asshole. Info. Did you discuss your hours and chores splits in advance and she knew you would be home for dinner, or did you come home at 9 p.m. when she's also been working all day and demand dinner? Not the asshole. Being a housewife involves looking after the family, especially if you're working 70+ hours a week. I make you in the right. The person who is looking after the kids at home, man or woman, should sort dinner for the working parent. Would I be the asshole if I pull away from roommate due to these comments I find racist? Using fake names, my roommate Emily, who is a white woman, has made a few comments to me and my other roommate, Selena, we are both black, that have not sat quite so well with us. The other night, she said something to me that I found so upsetting. She was looking up what percentage of firefighters are women because she is interested in being a firefighter, and saw that it was 5%. When she read that, she said, "Wow, 5%. Is this how you feel being part of the 5% at this school?" This is in reference to my being part of the 5% of black students at our university. This comment was off-putting to me in so many ways. First of all, she is not a female firefighter, so I don't know why she would ask me if this is how I felt when she herself is not feeling or experiencing anything in terms of being a minority within a group. Second, race and gender are not the same. She doesn't seem to understand this, because when I told her that they were very different and that they shouldn't be grouped together as similar, she asked me if I would feel more uncomfortable in a room full of men or a room full of white people, which just furthered this comparison. I feel like her comment comes from a space of just not understanding what it means to experience racism, because it comes in the form of people giving you disgusted looks, cutting you in line, following you around stores, treating you like you are dumb, insulting your skin tone, hair, culture, not letting you into their business, a space, etc. Race and gender are simply just not comparable. I experience mistreatment due to being a woman and due to my race, but there is a clear distinction between these two forms of mistreatment. Selena shared with me that Emily and her were once talking about where they would want to move post-graduation. Selena said she would want to move out of this area, and Emily responded by telling her that she should stay away from Arizona, a state she often visits, because she would get lynched there. She later apologized for this and claimed she didn't know what lynched meant. I have no clue if this is true or if she was simply backtracking after saying something offensive. Emily and I were honestly getting along just fine for the past 7 months until these comments. She has made other comments in the past that didn't quite sit right with me, but this one really rubbed me the wrong way. She apologized and said it was stupid of her to say, and she didn't want me to be mad at her or for there to be a dent in our friendship, but I just can't understand how she could be so unaware and insensitive when it comes to speaking of race. I have not responded with any anger, I have just been distancing myself from her a bit more. I'm honestly considering not renewing my lease because I don't know if I can live with someone who lacks this sensitivity and awareness. We had plans to potentially live together next year, but now I'm reconsidering, and I'm wondering if I am being a bit too harsh. Edit. Originally she had told me that she would only renew our lease if I were renewing it. I still want to renew our lease, but now I don't know if I want to do so with her. How would I bring up this conversation in a tactful way? I don't want to tell her she can't renew, because I know I'm not in a position to control someone's choice and she has the right to live here just as much as I do. But I did want to stay here, so now I'm not sure how to approach this. Not the asshole. You should feel comfortable where you live. You shouldn't have to put up with racist comments in your space. Racism cannot be tolerated. Rumi needs to be better educated on the subject. Perhaps by you. Would I be the asshole if I didn't go to my own baby shower? For background, my mother and I were not close until I became pregnant. We have a lot of bad history to the point that I moved out at 15. She didn't reach out except once a month until I became pregnant and has been overstepping every boundary I have placed. I first said that I didn't want people touching my tummy. She responded by the very next time she saw me lifting my shirt and pushing hard on my tummy as she said, "There's my baby." Later, when I addressed the phrasing of my baby and asked her to call it her grandchild, which it is, she told me not to be so strict. Later on in the pregnancy, I told her how the other grandmother, the father's mother, to the baby hand knitted a baby blanket for it, as she has done for every child and grandchild in her family, and my mother proceeded to make bye-bye jokes because she should be the only grandmother, and when I got upset she told me that I could never take a joke. She has also told me that she will be staying with us the first week the baby is here, even though I told her that I didn't want any visitors the first 2 weeks at least. So at this point I'm already tired. I do want to mention that the pregnancy wasn't planned. We were on because, but I still got pregnant. We loved each other very much, so it was okay. My mother recently got a raise at her job and started buying a crazy amount of baby stuff. Don't get me wrong, we are very grateful and know that we would have never been able to afford such nice things. Because of this I felt as if I should keep my mouth shut about all the issues I've had. But my partner points out that we never asked her to buy the stuff. Then came time for planning a baby shower. She picked out all the decorations and planned everything. She did this after I told her that we weren't planning on doing a baby shower because all the people we would want their lives so spread out across the country or we don't really know, like. But we received a text yesterday inviting us to our own baby shower. There is maybe going to be 5 people there we actually know and the rest are my mom's friends. Note she didn't even ask to invite my friends or any of the father's family. She said she did it to help us out and get more things for the baby. But we already created an online registry because most of the people who are close to us live far away. But now IDK whether I should keep my mouth shut and go. She spent money on catering and a pavilion. Or should I just not show up and look like an ass? The family that is going says I need to be nice to my mom because she is being helpful, and that my boundaries are making it impossible for her to help. And maybe my request were too far. But my partner says she is trying to buy her way above my boundaries. IDK what to do and feel very confused because I don't want to upset anyone, so 8th if I don't go? Update. Since people are wondering it is too late to cancel, invites are out and she put down a non-refundable deposits on the building and food. From what I'm seeing I should still agree with my partner though. I am going to work on going low contact. I just wanted to make sure my boundaries weren't outrageous. Thank you all for helping me out. Not the asshole. I agree with your partner. She's putting a price tag at your obedience and compliance, and you're on the verge of falling into that trap. Babies don't need fancy. They don't need a lot of stuff. Your mom will never learn to respect and honor your boundaries if you regularly show her that you are a pushover. Not the asshole. Didn't you know that you are just the incubator and that this is her do-over baby that with every item clothing is yet another installment in the purchase plan? Behold you life from now on if you don't put your foot down. And if not now, when? And no, don't go. Not the asshole. Not the asshole but I'd go and get all of swag and then go LC with mom. I'm sorry you're going through this. It's frustrating when parents try to make everything about them. And that's what your mom is doing. Not the asshole she is stomping on all of your boundaries. See if she can cancel it. Not the asshole. You set boundaries and she's bulldozing over every one of them. I can see why you left home. Am I the asshole for taking the vegetables of my kids' burgers? I, 39F, have 3 kids, 6F, 9M, and 12F my husband, 40M. And I decided a few days ago to take the kids to our local restaurant, as a treat, because we don't do that often. My husband is a bit of a health nut, and is very restrictive of the foods my kids eat, which is the main source of our arguments. On Thursday, we went to the restaurant, and the kids were super excited. The server was asking what the kids wanted, when my 12-year-old, we'll call her Emily, said, "Cheeseburger with bacon." My husband butted in and said, "With lettuce and tomato." Emily's face immediately fell. My husband didn't even notice, and Emily looked super bummed. After the server took our orders, my husband turned to Emily, and asked her what's wrong. She said that she didn't want lettuce and tomato on her burger, because she doesn't like them. He sighed and said that they've been through this a million times, and having vegetables with every meal was super important. Emily looked like she was about to cry. She is neurodivergent and a lot of food tastes and textures really bother her, tomatoes being a large one. My husband doesn't seem to care, which really bothers me. When the food came, Emily didn't even touch the burger. So when my husband went to the bathroom, I took the lettuce and tomato off the burger, put them on mine, and winked at Emily. She grinned and gladly ate her burger. My husband didn't say anything about it, until that night. He told me that taking the vegetables off was a violation of his trust, because he was just looking out for our daughter. I told him that it was just one meal, and not having vegetables once wasn't a big deal. He said that those vegetables were very important. I left the room, and have been talking to him as little as possible. So Reddit, am I the asshole for taking the vegetables off my daughter's burger? I think I might be because it's just lettuce and tomato, and my kids having vegetables is really important to my husband, but I feel like he was being super controlling, and I never want to see my child upset. Update. I went to bed when this post had about 200 comments and 50-something upvotes. Now there is 5.8 thousand upvotes, and 1.8 thousand comment. I have been reading through a ton of them, and my heart is breaking for everyone who is sharing their stories with eating disorders and their relationship with food. I have de-iced to discuss with my older 2 about getting into therapy. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with my dick for a husband. Divorce is a serious contender. I would have considered it sooner, but I always thought that it would be better for the kids if we stayed together. I've now realized that my husband is harming my children in ways that could be life-threatening. I'm thinking about taking the kids over to my parents' house for the week. because I don't think I can handle my husband doing this stuff to my babies. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I really appreciate it. I will update later about what I've decided to do. Info: Why are you with a man who doesn't care about your child's disability? Not the asshole. Yes, vegetables are important for people to eat. However, not having them on a burger isn't going to change your daughter's health situation. And there are a myriad of other vegetables from which she can choose. Your husband needs to learn how to encourage your kids to eat a variety of foods and not dictate it to them. Dictating food choices will only make the kids hate them more and drive a wedge between the kids and dad. I'm decades older than your kids, and to this day, I cannot stand tomatoes or pickles. Yuck. And my parents did try to make me eat a tomato when I ordered a salad. We sat at that table for a long time 'cause no way was I eating that tomato. And it's funny 'cause my father won't eat cucumbers. Lol. Now we swap vegetables. Lol. Not the asshole. Your husband is wanting to be the father of children with eating disorders and a daughter who does not trust him further than I could sling the Statue of Liberty. Get the kids into counseling and keep protecting those babies, mama. Not the asshole for the burger thing, but absolutely you should be reconsidering your relationship with a man who treats your children this way. Not the asshole. A leaf or two of, most likely, iceberg lettuce has no nutritional value. The 2 slices of non-heritage tomato has minimal nutrition. These are things your health nut husband should be very aware of. If he knows your daughter is neurodivergent and texture adverse to, but is insisting she eat these low to no nutritional value items on a treat day, he's not concerned with healthy eating. He's concerned with control.